Please welcome Justin, Tomer, Alex, and Nico.
Hey, everybody. Come on. Do we sit? No, we're in no order. Okay. Thanks. I don't think we have a slide. So we have an AMA where there's an opportunity for people out there to ask questions of anyone on this stage. We have, I'll just let each of you introduce yourself. Alex, you go first.
I'm Alex Cordeiro, VP of Engineering at the SCF.
And I'm Nicolas, CTO, Foundation, yeah, of course.
Tomer, CPO.
Justin, VP of Ecosystem. I think I'm mostly going to moderate and try to help you get the questions to these people. But I'll also answer questions if you have really great ones that I need to answer. But I mean, literally, I think this is an Ask Me Anything. And so ask me anything. Who's up? Who's got a question?
Who's our first victim?
Somebody. OK, so yeah, this is, oh, wait. We got a question back there.
Very easy.
Yeah.
As we wait, I highly recommend the special juice.
The special juice from the blend juice.
What's the flavor, Nico? Can you say it?
Stellar Sunrise. It's amazing.
And did you get that with Meridian Pay?
Yes, I did.
Look at that.
OK, I'll try and start easy. Stellar, obviously, there's been a lot of focus on DeFi, real-world assets, Soroban, payments, layer one. What are you guys each individually most excited for in the next couple of years in terms of those themes?
This sounds like a product question. Do you get
the question is, what are we most excited about?
Yeah, what are you most excited for on those themes? What are you particularly focused on individually?
And you said the time frame is like the next couple of years.
Yeah, exactly.
OK, next couple of years, what are we most excited about?
Sure, I can get started. So first of all the things that you mentioned are not disjoint, right? All of these things are connected and they meet at this place that Stellar is at, which is everyday financial instruments and making these more accessible and equitable. And so I think they're all related. The one specific thing that I'm very much excited about that we've talked about earlier in my keynote is privacy. I think that with the current state of the world where there's more favorable regulation, where more people are coming on chain, and just where the tech is at, I think this is the time for privacy. And like, in order for blockchain to actually succeed, we need to provide a viable alternative to the traditional finance system. And I don't think that you can imagine a world in which your payroll is up for everyone to see, or sensitive medical bills, or merchants having their competitors see their cash flow. And so this is something that, in order to fuel the next wave of adoption, we really need to get our shit together. And there hasn't been a better time to do this than now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and I think it's about, it's the type of thing we get with this is, this interconnected of products, right, that you can build. And yeah, I mean, it's not just like, I think you mentioned privacy. I'm actually also pretty excited about like some of the other potential that comes with the like zk more broadly, that until now, we didn't really have anything on Stellar, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that over the next couple of years. So yeah, that's I think that's going to be one of those unlocks on the network, yeah, for sure.
Well, being an engineer, I think the first thing I gravitate towards is like technical things, but I think, honestly, the thing I'm most excited about is adoption, and in the sense of seeing Stellar being used everywhere in a lot of ways that we know are possible, and right now we don't see as much activity as we could. And I think about what we're experiencing here today with using a passkey-based wallet that you can use to buy blend juice, right? And everyone doing that everywhere using Stellar and leveraging it for its full potential.
Yeah, I feel like the component pieces that you're talking about that that the ecosystem as a whole has been working on for years are like finally starting to come together, and we're seeing like end-to-end use cases where like use case wallets that target certain regions can actually like integrate with the DeFi protocol and an on-ramp, to allow somebody to like on-ramp in their local currency to USDC and immediately put it into like a yield-bearing protocol. And suddenly like you've opened up this wealth generation possibility for somebody that didn't have it. And that's like the story that like sort of founded Stellar, this idea of equitable access. I actually think we're starting to see it happen now. And I think privacy and continuing to solve for the technical stuff is like important, but all of it like feeds into this story. And there's actually some pretty crazy stuff that I think tomorrow Bruno is going to talk about, where we've like looked at stats for use case wallets that start to integrate DeFi protocols, and like the user retention is awesome, right? It like actually is, this story actually plays out. And I think as we start to see it, the adoption happen, like the impact will actually be felt too, which is crazy because it is like piece by piece and then suddenly the whole is there, you know?
Just want to add on following up on what Nico said about ZK, we're going to have a full session on ZK and privacy tomorrow. So 3 talks. One talk on Risk Zero. The Risk Zero verifier is coming to Stellar, which is a zero-knowledge virtual machine. Allows anyone to write ZK applications using Rust. Awesome, really exciting. We're going to have Jay from the core team give a talk about confidential payments or confidential tokens. And we're going to have Nethermind give a talk about their privacy pools protocols that they're building on Stellar. So a lot of ZK and privacy stuff happening with some really strong ecosystem players. Check out the talks.
Next question.
Thank you, guys. Great answers.
Oh. Right here, up front.
Okay, so I think it's more for product related. I work at Buff. What we do is like to empower students and people to build and to participate in hackathons. And in general, not only in Buff, but how do you think we can improve 2 things? Mainly like the UX stuff. I know in hackathon is complicated to do the perfect product, but not only hackathons, in products. I think that the UX is too difficult, not in Stellar, but in every blockchain. Maybe because, I don't know, people think their users are Web3 based. So the first question is how can we encourage people to be more, to have the clients present. And the other one is how can we improve to like create these new ideas and not only do, I don't know, to create another crowdfunding platform, you know? How can we mix blockchain with other industries and like to improve that to stuff? Thank you.
So the first one's UX. How do we make UX better?
Exactly. Basically.
And the second one is?
It's like, how can we see more crazy ideas, maybe? Like, how can we...
More innovation.
Exactly. More innovation apart from DeFi.
Okay, so better UX, innovation outside DeFi. How do we make those things happen? That's the question. Did you try Meridian Pay yet?
Yes.
What did you think of the UX?
Well, I have some issues to log in, but I really like it. I still use it, but it's good. I think it's good.
I think this has been always something we thought about on the UX side, right? Like I think way back in the day before having passkeys, we had like SEP30 and kind of like some ideas where you can have key recovery and these things in a way that you don't have to remember passphrases and all the complicated stuff, right? I feel like it's by emerging from a bunch of engineers creating things, we assume that things are easier than they are for most users, right? And I think there's a maturity or maturing process in which you realize that you need to really focus on user experience, right? I think this is so front and center to us that Meridian Pay is one of the a culmination of a lot of things that we thought about to make it simpler for people to use in a way that they don't even realize. You don't download a wallet, right? It's a web application. You use your passkeys the same way as you unlock your phone. You can use your wallet, right? So it's an ever-evolving process to simplify things, and I think the Web 2 had so much time to perfect that, right? And we're kind of in the process of trying to get there too.
Second part, innovation. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting question. I feel like innovation is something that I think you just create the sort of foundational pieces and an environment conducive to innovators, right? Like you don't say, and now we will turn on the hit the innovation button. But it's like if the tools are there, if the fundamental pieces that you can build with are there, and if you start to create an environment that encourages people to put them together and to think sort of boundlessly, I think you encourage innovation. I mean, we just here had the Hack Meridian hackathon, and there were 2 tracks. Like one was literally called Open Innovation, I think that's cool, right? Because people could just build whatever they wanted. But I actually think the other track, composability, where we said, here's some building blocks, put them together in an innovative way. It almost like, it's like giving a painter a palette, right? If you say, paint in any color, it's like, I don't know. But if you say, like, here's a limited palette of these 6 colors, here's the format, here, you actually can create an environment that is conducive to creativity. And I actually think some of the results that came out of the composability approach may be more innovative. But that's a supposition, right? So I think we experiment. So it's keep building the cool stuff, keep working on the fundamentals, keep trying to create different challenges, environments, methods of support that allow innovators to flourish, emerge, that attract them in the first place. But that's just like sowing, sort of like putting out the fertilizer in the field, you know?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cool.
One thing to add there, which might be an argumentative statement, but blockchains are good for financial use cases. And I think that's a very important thing because oftentimes you come to these hackathons and people are building nonsense, and sometimes it's like cool nonsense, and sometimes it's nice to fuck around. But at the end of the day, you know, blockchains are for financial use cases. This is what they're good for. And so I think that at the end of the day, if you're building, especially on the protocol level, like trust minimization, you're building financial protocols, and there's a finite number of like financial protocols that one actually needs. And so I do think that a lot of the innovation comes not from innovating on these, not from building kind of like a new lending borrowing protocol or a new AMM. It's more about, like Justin said, how do we compose what we currently have? How do we build applications? Because at the end of the day, the way that this should work is that you have a small number of protocols, and then you have like exponentially more applications that use these protocols, right? And so the innovation needs to come on that layer, like building applications. And so, like, it's okay that we're not seeing more and more protocols show up because it's just that's life, yeah.
Khan?
Yeah. My question is about the other side of innovation. It's kind of a grim question, but I think you can all create like a personal angle to answer from. When we look at the modern day crypto, we see people live streaming themselves drinking God knows what on live stream to just pump their tokens. We see people launching L1s that promises 1 milliseconds for like finality, which is physically impossible, so they must have sacrificed security. We see like new chains that are being born every day that promises to build their own wallets, build their own applications, which is, I mean, when we look at history, it's not the best thing to do, and they must have sacrificed UI UX altogether, is what I'm seeing. So my question for you guys is, what do you think is the most dangerous thing today for crypto, and how do you compare Stellar to that?
I don't necessarily think that those companies trying to, let's say, like launch a new L1 with a bunch of like wallets on top, all kind of going back to like the closed source or closed ecosystem type of mindset is necessarily dangerous. I think over the longer term, we all still end up in the same place, I think, which is this kind of a more like open type of networks type of environment. I do think that in terms of like adoption, I think it's more of an enabler. So I think it's, yes, it sounds like a step back in a way, but because it's not the, it's only a few of the players in the ecosystem that are doing that. I think it's actually, it allows them to do certain things that are maybe not possible today because of regulations, let's say, that, maybe you need to have like a, like closed down validators or something, right? Where you can say, well, those are controlled by, governments or whatever. So yeah, so I think that those type of companies are potentially bringing new, new participants to the ecosystem. I see it like that. So yeah, I don't think there's, the danger would be if the open networks, seeing what happens there, like see that as like, oh yeah, like we need to make sure we kind of keep parity or something in terms of features with those more like closed systems. And for example, I think I heard like the latency, right, as being one of those things. Well, latency in a completely centralized environment, of course, you can bring that down to like, nanoseconds. But that's not the goal. The goal is to maintain this hard line, right? We need those systems to be open. Otherwise, you don't have the interop. You don't have the access, right, that you need for those systems. So I think that's the danger.
Yeah, look, the main danger is to get stuck in like in this crypto casino forever, right? And so even if you look at these, centralized competitors that are, building chains and whatnot, I think the main driver is actual real world usage or some desire for actual product market fit. And so I actually think that we're in a good place, and I think that all of these are like very strong positive signals for the crypto ecosystem in general. Obviously, I would love to see people build on open platforms with strong interop, but yeah, like we're in a good place right now. Like if you look at like where we were like, a year or two ago with a strong focus on nonsense, we're better now.
I know,
By the way, I'll just mention that you have the very strong technical leadership here. So if anyone has like technical questions about Stellar and the future of engineering at SDF and the Stellar ecosystem, then please go ahead.
We got two. Alejo, you can go next.
Yeah, I have very practical questions regarding Saraban. Is there any plan, innovation about introducing some kind of SQL request to store data over Saraban smart contract?
Sorry, so you said like some sort of like SQL, you said? Like some sort of like data model?
Exactly.
Layer?
So to request and iterate over the data that was stored by Saraban smart contract. Because right now, you know that actually iteration over data in Saraban smart contract is nightmare.
I didn't hear this type of request, or I didn't see those type of conversations. So I think what you're maybe like asking about is how maybe, like, because you can definitely do these things like using indexers, like but yeah, I think you're asking from doing, let's say, iterator or sorts from within a smart contract.
Yeah, because let's see, a smart contract has key. It can be combined key, and the question is there is some innovation way how developers can iterate over smart contract and extract all data that was stored in particular way. So any plans?
I think we'd have to see like the type of use cases that we are trying to do. I mean, that's why like we have, I don't know if you're active on like the Discord, for example, like there are plenty of people that with a lot of experience both on the indexing side and then as well as building or maybe running into the same type of issues that you have in this context.
Yeah, because I feel like understanding the use case here is very important, right? Because it doesn't come to mind directly like why, because that's only helpful if you have a contract that needs to iterate upon like a certain amount of data to compute something on-chain, right? And most of these logic is actually off-chain after you ingested the data, and then you're doing some kind of analytics on top of it or trying to come up with any kind of like API that presents some of that data in a way that you process and reduce, right? So, but yeah.
But I can see like some use for this though. Like if there are like applications where you need to have provably that you're, let's say, making certain statements about the state of some other contract or some data set. I can see that right now you cannot actually do that directly. So you have to rely on some sort of like third party that is indexing. But yeah, again, it's use cases.
Well, I think that's actually the time. We're at time. And I know there was at least one more question, sorry. But obviously, this is an AMA, but I mean, these people are around and available, and you should definitely track them down. And as Tomer pointed out, like, this is some of the technical leadership at SDF. So if you have technical questions, ideas, things that you want to give them feedback on, I think that they would love to talk to you. So in the spirit of Meridian, just like find them, talk to them, bring your question directly to the source. Thanks for your paying attention. And I think we're good. Thanks, guys. I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you.